people, and welcome to the Voices of the Nation podcast. Once again, my name is Belle, and today we are going to unbox the world of entrepreneurship and also how we can foster a sustainable and innovative business landscape in Singapore by listening and hearing it from the giants in the industry. And I'm very excited today to introduce our very special guest. Now he's an accomplished entrepreneur, the chairman of Ossia International, and you'll be very familiar with this name. He is also the founder of Harvey Norman Ossia. Now let's welcome Mr. George Goh. Hello, Mr. Goh.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Take a seat.
Good to see you, Belle.
Yes, I love your outfit today. It's red and white.
Yeah, thank you, Belle.
Hello, Mr. Goh. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon and allowing us to connect with you and, share with our viewers a lot of these precious advices that you are able to share with us. So before we begin, let's just introduce yourself to our viewers over there.
Oh, my name is George Goh. In Chinese, Wu Zhenhua.
Wow, you have a very good voice. Especially when you speak in Chinese. I do hear the bass in your voice. Love it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's my first time meeting you in
Yes.
person, and I have a lot of questions to ask you.
Yes,
and
please.
we know Harvey Norman, and we're so familiar with the name, and you are actually the founder behind Harvey Norman. So, first of all, we just really want to ask you if you are able to share with us your entrepreneurial journey for Ossia. What kind of opportunities and inspiration do you get back then that allowed you to set on the mind of I want to do this business?
In 1982, when I started my career, there was a sole proprietorship. So in 1990, that's 8 years later. So I say it's better to set up Ossia International Private Limited for international distributions or franchising business. So when I set up in 1990, the purpose is to make sure that I can travel to worldwide. I can secure a lot of international brands like sporting goods, golf,
as well.
appliance. No, that time no appliances yet, right? So fashions product as well. That is how we started in 1990.
Wow, it's definitely not easy. I think back then things were really not very advanced as well.
Yes.
How did you get out the money, travel overseas, and meet up with these people who owns this sporting brands and other brands that you actually connected with?
So if you want to represent the brand, you need to travel to several countries like Germany, like Italy, France, or United States. Now these are the countries who so-called the brand intellectual property owned by them. Now we need to present maybe part of the country in Asia Pacific, not all the country. Now you need to pitch, you need to talk to them and explain to them your market size, and you can represent them well in this part of the world.
But what was your inspiration to create this thing in Singapore? Because as far as I know, I think it's the first in Singapore, and it was so difficult because back then we don't have all these resources.
Yes, but the foundations, when I set up in 82
To
to
1990.
1996, that was my first listed company. In 1996, I want to extend a bit more global. At least I can expand to Asia Pacific. So in 1997, I was in Australia. So I tried to acquire the second retail, one of the largest sporting good retail chain in Australia, called Rebel Sport. That gave me something different from our Southeast Asia. I extended to Asia Pacific. So Australia is always cover New Zealand as well.
Yeah.
Subsequently, 2 years later, because I quite familiar in Australia, Harvey Norman brand is a household brand in Australia and New Zealand as well. So I have an opportunity to meet up with the owner or the founder of Harvey Norman. So we say to him, I explained to him Asia Pacific is going to be the future. Now I convinced him to look at Asia Pacific as a market for future, and we set up the joint venture.
You know, I always know Harvey Norman as Harvey Norman, but when I have like my script and information, right, I noticed that there's another word at the end of Harvey Norman, which is Ossia. How did this Ossia name came about?
In 1990, Ossia was incorporated in Singapore as a private limited company. At that time, I studied music. When I take a look at my music's book, then I see this is a very good name. It's called Ossia, like alternate. The meaning is like alternate. So I was thinking, maybe sound like also like Asia.
Asia, yeah.
So I find maybe this is nice, you know. So that is how I was incorporated in 1990.
No, it's a very classy name, and I kind of see the connection between like Ossia and Asia. You know, wanting to have the hopes of Asia being your next option in upcoming future. Back then, when you first started your business as well.
Yes,
like
I
you
think,
kind of had that.
yeah.
Feeling.
Asia at that point in time, because I already set up from Singapore to Malaysia, and then I crossed to Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau, and China. And I also cover at the same time now in Australia and New Zealand, in more like the Asia Pacific kind of organization. So I thought maybe this is something, it's the extension of diversification.
Oh, it's definitely not
Yeah.
easy. So when you ventured into the different countries, or even when you started out your business, have you actually had the opportunity to listen to like veterans in the company, you know, people in the industry, people who you know give you advice on like what to do and what not to do?
In 80, you don't have this word called mentorship.
Yes.
Yeah. The industry, especially my industry, is considered a very old industry in 1982. It's like the sunset industry in 80. Shoe manufacturing, Singapore want to transform from a manufacturing base to electronic basis. Right? I'm a shoemaker, I have to make some decisions, so I have to start something I'm familiar with, but I need to transform from a manufacturing to trading, and then after that wholesale, then subsequently become the franchising. So basically the brand distributorship.
Yeah.
So this is the transform over a number of periods.
Over the journey. Yeah.
But that is not good enough. From a wholesale basically you sell to the third party, the merchant will do the selling part. I extend it into retailing. Retailing is another part in Singapore, as I mentioned, also in Australia and also in New Zealand. So I did another retailing also in Hong Kong at the same time. So I expanded from the wholesale to the retailing as well. Of course, I also extended another industry that is electronic joint venture with a very famous company in Australia called Harvey Norman.
Did you actually like figure all of this thing out yourself, or have you, you know, vividly remember some of the very precious advice of people from all walks of life when they were with you through the journey of entrepreneurship?
You do learn from the people when you travel international. So in 90, we start to travel international. You have to look at in Italy how the brand owner, they're presenting their brand, and not easy to transform a brand. Actually, it's the art.
Definitely.
It's a very difficult process. To maintain the brand, even more difficult. All right, you know, branding will take years to build.
Yes.
You can also destroy it overnight. You're not being very careful, you can do that also. That's why the brand owner usually very particular about the people who are representing the brand. If you do not have a good marketing team, you don't. Sales is, of course, everybody like it, right? The volume game, right? Sales. But they also have to look at, can you protect the brand? So to them, this is also another part is very important, marketing. I have opportunity to work with many international owners, partnership with many international partner. So you learn, right? Throughout the year, attitude is important though. Whoever you meet, you try to learn.
Yes.
To see whether what you can learn from them. So that is a very important. As I mentioned, mentorship at 80s is very difficult. There are not many people give you mentorship. So, of course, when you meet these people, this is an opportunity for you to learn on the job.
Yeah, learn along the way, and
Yes.
I think keyword over here, attitude, is really very important.
Correct.
And learning the ropes from the start. The
Yes.
attitude cannot be like, oh, I want to do this, and I'm just thinking of like easier ways to achieve something. So we always have to be humble and just make sure that we learn all the steps that's going to help us in the future. Be patient, I would say. You think?
Yeah, at the end, of course, you also need to deliver. You can
Definitely.
set up any organization, you can represent any brand, you can partner with anybody, but you need to make sure one thing, you have to deliver. You have to make sure that you keep your so-called like partnership, they will make sure your honesty partnership.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, as I mentioned, when you tell representing an international brand like Samsung and all these brands, not easy at all.
Definitely. It really
Yes.
takes a lot of years, discipline, honesty, integrity, a lot of things that come into play.
Yes.
And Mr. Goh, have you actually faced any challenges along the way of entrepreneurship? Especially knowing that you travel to different countries, and I'm sure you had to like speak in different languages as well. So we're talking about English, Mandarin, Malay. You can speak in different dialects such as Hakka, Teochew, Cantonese. That's really a lot. So shall we actually try to speak in Chinese?
Of course, yeah, we can speak in Chinese. I mean, 在41年的企业里面，当然在不同的时间里会有不同的风暴。
是。
在我这一生当中，41年的企业大概有8次吧，都是危机，包括最近现在的 COVID 刚刚过的 COVID。我觉得，一个企业家你要能耐，当然风暴是不能够
一定会来的
一定是不能够避免的。
对对。
以前人家常说大概10年一次，现在如果你从现在来看，可能8年一次，可能现在最近变成5年一次。所以一个企业家一定要经过这个阶段的。
哇，心理一定要很坚强。
除了心理要坚强，管理层也是要绝对要把它把握好。
要稳。
因为管理一个企业不是一个所谓的就是我们讲幸运靠幸运来为主。当然也有些人是希望是幸运多过努力的。
对。
以我们兄弟来说，我们就比较赞成的就是多努力，多学习。当你跨上世界的舞台的时候，你学别人怎么做企业。世界上有名的企业家呢，都是很有能力去学习的。他们都是有一个态度，就是我怎么学习，
一直在学习，
一直在学习。你在看别人的企业为什么这样成功？为什么他们能够跨行业？因为跨行业也是一种的学问。
是。
没有一个企业家是说只有一个行业就独霸天下的，没有可能的。你看香港的首富也好，韩国的首富也好，包括中国的首富都是一样的，都是开始一直跨行业。当然也是一定要是在你的公司的健康的体系里面，你才能够做这件事情。如果你公司本身没有好的健康的体系，你千万不要做这个事情。第二点，你要有好的团队。如果你没有好的团队，你想跨其他的国家或者跨行业呢，这个是很危险的。
哇，是。
所以我希望大家能够
一直努力学习。
这个是当然的啦。
真的，你让我们知道，其实很大的企业家富有的人啊，他们一直都是重新的学习再学习，谦虚的，不管是什么都好，就是从第一步开始。
对，
因为我们可能很容易觉得说，企业家都很容易他们就是有钱可以的啦。但是其实他们不知道的是，企业家都是从低做起。
如果我看新加坡的企业家就好，当然我们就不说其他国家的。我有好几个朋友，都是亿万富翁。 你看他们的斗志力，学问当然有些是非常幸运，他有一点学问，有些也是没有很好的基础。可是这个不会成为他们所谓的往前的一个
阻碍啊，
一个阻碍，不会的。因为这些人他们的定心跟他们的一个努力啊，你可以看得出来哦，他们是不会为了因为他的语言也好，或者是
学习没有，
他不会为了这些属于是小的啦。当你成为一个企业家哦，不是只是靠语言呢，当然也不是只是靠金钱了。
对。
你也是要靠很多的
这些其他的元素。
当你跟别人合作的时候，别人信任你吗？当你讲的时候，别人认为你是真的是从心里面讲出来吗？你要看很多的
信心啊，诚信。
你知道企业家他看人，他不是只看语言的。
当然，只要努力，可能就是成果就是不用解释的。
对的，
他自己会出来。那你觉得，身为一个企业家，最重要的要注意的东西是什么呢？而且，你觉得新加坡怎么可以一起共同的创造一个比较健康、比较积极的那个商业环境呢？
如果一个年轻人今天要成为一个企业家，1-2个基本的条件，他一定要附带的。第一，一定要是很努力的。因为可能资金方面你不会比人多。因为一般上的创业企业家，他资金是比较少的，你也不可能到银行去的，因为你没有什么可以抵押的。所以你要考虑说，我做企业家，我可不可以花很长的时间在企业里面，同时做老板，同时也做工人？你要把它弄清楚。你千万不要说我今天要创业成为企业家。我的名字叫企业家，或者我是一个商人，其实这不是一回事的。你刚刚开始的时候你是没有分别的，你也是工人，你同时也是老板。我想这个是第一个。第二个就是说，在你这段日子创业的时候，可能会遇到很多不顺利的事情。因为什么呢？因为你不是很熟悉那整个创业或者企业，你还在学习嘛。那你在这段期间里面，你会遇到这样多困难的时候，你就告诉你自己说，我要突破，我要想办法，千万不要灰心。当然你可以了，有时候你当然人都会上跟下的时候，可是你要告诉你，第二天你起来是要告诉你自己，
我们还要往上，
我们还是要往前进。这个 determination 是很重要的，除了勤劳以外 ，determination 很重要。第三个，一个企业家你可以访问很多成功的企业家他们对经营的成本他管的不管是哪一件事情他们对成本来说，我们叫 cost，他们是很小心的，他们不会很浪费的，随便把钱这样扔，或者是买东西的时候没有谈价钱，就基本上不会
就这样子给出去。
每一个企业家都是从5分钱、1毛钱开始的。很少企业家讲说一开始都就是讲我是1 million、2 million，没有
我要花这样的钱，
不可能的。每一个如果你懂得等1块钱、5毛钱的时候，你以后你能够控制100万、200万是一样的。因为你的思想里面是肯定是一样的。所以我想，就是对控制成本是很重要的。所以我希望，当然还有其他的，我们可以讲的。那我就讲这3点。如果一个年轻人今天要成为一个企业家，要把这3件事情牢牢的记住。
也就是要勤劳，要有意志力，再加心态要好，
要把控制得好，所有的 cost。
Mr. Goh， 真的谢谢你今天抽出宝贵的时间来跟我们分享你这些非常宝贵的经验跟经历哦。这些呢，其实都在外面我们比较没有机会听到的一些故事哦。所以非常谢谢你今天下来跟我们分享。那这一次的国庆庆典呢，我们希望大家都可以一起
Onward as one。
我是 Belle，
我是 George， 拜拜，再见。